Hey, what's going on, you guys? I hope you had a great weekend. It was Father's Day weekend, so happy Father's Day to me and all the other people out there doing their work as a father, whether you're a male or female, I really don't care. But if you're doing the work that actually raises the next generation, I want to commend you guys and give you loads of love. And I hope you had a chance to kind of kick back and enjoy your families on this Father's Day weekend. Now, this weekend was also important for me on a second note because it was my mom's 60th birthday, and I really had a ball. I'm glad she got to celebrate, and I really hope that, she has the kind of life I think she deserves. But that brings me to another point. I entitled this, There's Always Fallout. Now, lately I've been doing a lot of soul searching. More than normal, actually. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and I wanted to talk about the fact that I'm starting to push people to speak their minds a little bit more. I know what it's like to have to hold your tongue, to change your behavior in front of people, and I also know that it doesn't serve you at all. If you're trying to be something you're not, just to make someone else happy, or to avoid a conversation that you don't want to have, or to avoid a confrontation or a possible fight, it's not worth it, and here's why. For many, many years, I avoided having a particular conversation I dread all the time, and it was just because whenever this person came into my physical presence, I felt some kind of way. And it wasn't a person that I could easily just write off. I had to respect them. I had to show them a certain amount of decorum. I had to act a particular way. But it did not serve me. I did not feel comfortable about it. And it just so happened that I finally got to a place where I was like, you know what? I can't keep my mouth shut anymore. I kind of got to say something because otherwise it looks like I'm being reckless and disrespectful. And that's not who I actually am. I am a very respectable person, and I am very respectful when it comes to people that I care about. But it just so happened that the person that I was talking about is the offender in my case. Okay? So I have learned since that I can't afford to keep my mouth shut. And I can't hold my tongue just because there might be fallout. And I've done this as well with my ex-husband. There were conversations that I needed to have, and I did not want to go through certain procedures because they were offensive to me, and I did not want to have that kind of karma on my hands. What I'm talking about? Abortion. Unfortunately, I've lived through 4 abortions, 3 of them with my ex-husband, and he knew that I did not want to do any of that ever again after the very first one with my first fiance, but he pushed me anyway. And I wasn't strong enough to say no to him. I was afraid of the fallout. I was terrified of the fallout. I was afraid he'd kick me out of the house. I was afraid he'd take my daughter from me. I was afraid that he would put me in a position where I would not be able to go on. I did not at the time think I could live without him. And so I avoided the conversations. But in the end, it ate me up inside. It made me feel like I was not capable. Capable. Come in here for a second. He made me feel like I was not capable of living a life without him. He helped me with the worry that I already had, right? But the point is, I could have stood up and I didn't feel strong enough. So yeah, there's always fallout. There's always a chance when you ask a question that the answer might be no. There's always a chance when you tell somebody how you feel about something that they might not like it and they may pull away from you. But the chance that it might not go right, is that the reason you shouldn't say anything? Let's put it in like difficult terms, right? Very black and white terms. Let's say you witness someone do something very, very wrong. Let's say that person is someone very dear to you and you saw them physically hurt someone who was not able to defend themselves. They picked on somebody. Let's go bullying, shall we? So if that person is very close to you and you love that person with all your heart, would you stand by and say nothing and enable them to feel like they did nothing wrong? Or would you stand up and say that they did something wrong and then let the chips fall the way they may? Because yeah, that could go one of 2 ways. They could accept it or they can't. There's no maybe about that. Either they say they accept it and their behavior changes, which means they didn't accept it, or they actually do accept it and they realize that, oh my gosh, I don't know, I was overcome by grief, or I was upset about something and I kind of let it out on somebody. I could not control myself. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. But in that instance, when you're talking about bullying, about people that aren't capable of taking care of themselves and people that are stronger than the victim in the situation, black and white, yep, you got to say something. But what if it's not that black and white? What if it's your mom and you see her being abused by somebody, her husband, and you see him taking advantage of her over and over again, and you go to stand up to him, but you're worried because you're just a kid? What could you possibly do? Because chances are they might kick you out of the house. Chances are they might tell you you're crazy and you're making up shit. There's so many variables that could go with a conversation like that. But does that mean that you shouldn't have the conversation, that you shouldn't speak up and do what's in your heart to do? Stand up for the person who's not being taken care of? Does that mean you should turn a blind eye and let things go on as they are? Because our reality is shaped by what we allow to happen. People disrespecting us, we allow that to happen unless we stand up and say something about it. Now, people are going to say shit regardless, right? But they don't have to be entertained. They don't have to be part of your circle. They don't have to be part of your immediate vicinity. You could leave them behind. The harsh reality is the people who hurt us the most are the people that are closest to us. Because we expect a certain amount of understanding from them. And we expect to have a certain amount of close relationship with these people so that they understand where we're coming from. We should be able to speak more of our minds with the people we care about, but a lot of times we can't. It's the reverse. You can't say what you want just any kind of way and let the chips fall where they may, because you care about where the chips fall. You have a vested interest. But I ask you again, if you care about these people, do you say more of what you feel or less? And I'm going to answer that for you. A lot of times it's less. A lot of times it's less. That doesn't serve you. Because once you allow it to happen, it sets precedent. Just like in any court case, right? It's not law yet. Well, okay, once the decision comes back from the court and it goes a particular way that's never been before, suddenly it's case law and you can cite it in any other trial going forward. But if you don't fight for that right for something to become case law, you allow it to fester. You allow it to get bigger. If the first time you called me a particular name and it hurt my feelings, if I didn't check you on it then and let it go a couple times, it's going to be harder for me to justify the fact that it hurt me the first time too. Because you're going to be like, well, you didn't say nothing then. You hear what I'm saying? I need y'all to understand. Just like we have free will to choose our destinies, so does the other person in every conversation. I want you to create stronger relationships by standing up for yourself every time, not just when it's convenient for you to say something. Yeah, there's going to be fallout. There will always be fallout. But the people who are meant to be in your life, the people who are meant to stay longer than a season, those people will understand the value of what you're saying and the fact that you even took your precious time to say something. They'll understand. They'll want to know because they want for both your relationships to be the best it possibly could be. So, with that being said, I hope you understand. I'll catch you again soon. Bye.